Thank you, Dr. Haripriya. I think thanks for the inclusion. When she asked me, I said, shall I be presenting another set of videos or some kind of a cataract video-based situation, or let it be a little offbeat? So I chose the offbeat thing, which is definitely way different from the kind of excellent surgeries and the video that you people have shown. I'm giving you my tips in the way we actually do the cataract surgery. Cataract surgery is not all about what happens in the operating room, but also a lot of things before and after. I think the counseling and the communication tips in cataract surgery applicable to every kind of practice that we have, be it a single practice, a corporate practice, or an NGO practice, or any kind of practice. I think these communication tips hold good. So I'll just try to compile all of them, and let me start. I think we do not have a curriculum as such for communication and counseling in our medical school. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So we do not have an actual curriculum as such in even a residency training. So good communicators normally get into less trouble, whereas it's a forgotten soft skill. People who are born with good communication tend to do well, get into less of problems, and what we call as the foot in the mouth syndrome. They don't really get into their problems with it. So this is just a situation where a good counseling, communication, and trying to keep the patient in its in the loop actually adds a lot of value to your surgical outcome. You may do a great surgery, but I think you have to also communicate that you have done it. Let me just pick up a few things like a second eye syndrome. I call this is a very favorite of mine. When a patient comes for the first eye surgery, he is full of fear. So you do a great topical phaco, the surgery gets over in 5 minutes, the patient starts seeing everything, and patient is so impressed with you, he says you are God, and he asks for the second eye surgery. You are so happy with the patient's outcome, and the patient comes for the second eye and undergoes the second eye surgery. But after the second eye surgery, patient is not that happy. In fact, he has a lot of complaints. He says the second eye surgery took a little longer. He said the second eye surgery was more painful than the first. And he says that I could see everything after the first eye, but not after the second eye. Somehow something had gone wrong. So this is a very typical situation. And a patient who is complaining type gets a reason to actually complain more. This is probably because of the two evils in life. No, I always say comparing and expecting are the two evils of life, which bring in all the unhappiness that we have. If you stop comparing yourself to anyone else, if you stop expecting things from people around you, you'll be very happy. I think both the evils are working here. When the patient comes, he has no kind of set idea. He has no comparison. He just has only fear. Contrary to his fear, things happen very quickly, painlessly, very fast, and he starts seeing everything. So he's elated. Now for the second eye he comes with an expectation. When you come with any set of expectations, you are not happy with the outcome. At the same time, when he compares the first eye vision to the second eye, which has a cataract probably, and so he's very happy. Now he compares the second eye vision, which probably has some inflammation, corneal edema, to the first eye, which has been operated some time back. So obviously it's an unfair comparison, and he will always say, I could see very well with the first eye, but not with the second eye. So these are the things, this unfair comparison brings in always a bit of, a sore feeling, or a patient is a little bitter with the second eye procedure. I think when you handle this, I always tell, when I know that this is going to happen, I try to preempt it. I tell the patient that the second is going to take a little longer, maybe painful a bit, and probably you will see a little longer to see better. So this is all the more important when you do the monovision philosophy, especially the eye which we have focused for near. We always compare with the eye with the distant vision, dominant eye, and have problems. I think communicating and trying to preempt this second eye syndrome is very important. And it's about breaking the bad news. Let's say you have a big list of surgeries and you have the second case itself, there's a nucleus drop. So you have your, relatives waiting outside. When do you want to break the bad news and how you want to do it? Some people may think that you want to finish all the 10 cases and go back and sit with the relatives and try to give a proper explanation in detail. I think that is not the right way to do it. I think the best way, the best location to break the bad news or something going wrong in the intraoperative period is within the OT premises itself. I think why does that happen? Because our patients and relatives see a lot of Indian movies. A typical, what is an operating room in an Indian movie? So there's a closed door, there's a red light blinking, and people are moving in here and there, and the door opens. The surgeon comes out, sometimes without wearing a mask or without a cap, and he declares a judgment. That is the typical, cliche. That is the perception that we have about operating rooms. That means he declares a judgment like you can save the baby or you can save the mother or his something like that. So there is some life-shattering judgment that happens. So people are psychologically prepared to hear the bad news soon after the surgery. So I think best is to kind of you go to the semi-sterile area or call them there and probably with a little distance, you try to explain, in our own way, which you can probably use, like if there's a PC rent or a drop, you say that the support is not good. We have to probably do another small procedure and we may have to probably postpone putting a lens or whatever. So that is what is something that you need to actually do it. I think multifocal mania, I think whenever we choose a multifocal, I think there's always a communication glitch and we have problems. I always ask them to choose between two things. I simplify my counseling. I say, you choose between convenience versus clarity. I think that is something which is very important. That means if you want to have a crisp vision of a monofocal, you need to forego the convenience of probably a spectacle-free near vision. If you want the convenience of not wearing glasses, you need to forego a small percentage of clarity, maybe in terms of loss of contrast or photic phenomena. I think if you can put it across to your patient who can understand this, I think this makes it very clear. And many a times it is easy for the patient to rather choose because finally they need to understand what is there going to be the post-operative vision and what they're going to compromise and what they're going to gain. So this is a very clear thing. And we always say in private practice, we don't sell the surgeon, we sell the IOL package. So I think we should probably stop talking more about IOLs. We talk about the technique, we talk about the surgeon. That is probably very important. And my last part is the most disastrous thing in cataract surgery, the very demoralizing for the surgeon, endophthalmitis. Most people are okay with managing the signs of endophthalmitis, but we fail in managing the art. I think many of the problems that we see around is because of the way we have managed the publicity part, the communication part, and the art of managing this particular dreaded thing. So it calls for both art and science. You need to accept it. There is nothing like TAS. You accept it's an endophthalmitis unless proved otherwise. Fall in line. And you should do a judicious and immediate and energetic action is very important. I think for the patient, it is really a bad thing to happen. He has pain, discomfort, and there's a breach of promise of good vision that you have done. And patients say that you are no good. It's very, very demoralizing in the beginning. So you need to gather your wits and try to work on it. You have to take care of them immediately. The moment you know that your post-op patient has some doubtful endophthalmitis, take care of them. Don't make them wait. It can be pitted against you in the court of law. Make it private. Okay, don't, the question in front of other patients, make it private. You should show concern. You should show compassion. But at the same time, you don't have to bend backward, show your panic, and that you don't have to really show that something as you have done a mistake. It's a well-known thing that endophthalmitis is. At the same time, take the hostility head on. This is very important. We are in India. It really, natural course is there always a hostility, but finally hold on to your nerves. And most times with the kind of the science that we have at your disposal, you will be able to get good results and things will happen. What is very important is prevent a medical legal issue. You may win the case with a lot of effort, but still better to prevent it. And at the same time, hire a good advocate. What is very important is the law is the slave of evidence. Document everything. That is very important. That is what's going to go, not just your good intention. So with this, I think this is the most important part of making a patient satisfied. Patient with 6/5 visions are sometimes dissatisfied. Patient with lesser vision are much happier. I think it's the whole gamut of all these things that go into a very successful cataract practice. I think that is my take on that.